Good morning. Oops. Good morning, everyone. Haven't seen you guys for a while. Well, it started with graduation, and then things kind of get off track. But it's okay. We're back. So yeah, I think it's good that I'm coming back so I can start answering your question again, helping you all live a better life with ADHD. And just in case you're brand new here, my name is Adhd. I'm a registered dietitian. I'm also a brand new certified hypnotherapist now. So I can actually help you with your ADHD with hypnotherapy as well. And we can talk about that later. But to get started, before we get started, I actually want to thank all of you. Hold on one second. Here, I want to thank you so much for all of you who bought my books and download my books. So my book actually reached international bestseller status. Thank you so much, everyone. And if you haven't got the book yet, let me find a picture of it. Um, the paperback is actually just out last night. So if you already got the book or the ebook version and you really want the paperback version, it is now available on Amazon. And I haven't even got my own copy yet. My publisher just put that out last night. So hold on one second. It's hard. Okay, so here's the book here. You can get it on Amazon. The paperback is available right now. So you can go ahead and order it. I know a lot of you prefer the paperback version of it because you like to write notes. And I get that. I love to take so much notes. Hi, everyone. Okay, so let's get started. I didn't really get a whole lot of questions this time, so I just go through the Facebook page. And by the way, for those of you who are on Instagram, I am actually live on both Facebook and Instagram. So for those of you who are on Instagram and would like to be part of the community, it's a huge growing community, very active. You can hop over to Facebook and you can find the group under the name Natural Alternative ADHD Treatment. And that's the group. And I'm I might not take the whole hour today. So it all depends on the questions that I have, but I'm just so excited to be back here, answering you guys' questions. So, all right. So in the future, if you have any question, like for you in the Instagram, you can just post it. Well, probably you won't be able to post it, but you can message me in my DMs. And in Facebook, you can just post it anywhere. You can privately message me as well. And so let's get started. Let me find those questions. And I hope these questions are questions that will answer your question as well. So I just randomly picked some questions that I feel that I can do something to help as far as with nutrition and doing better with eating and all those stuff. So let me find where's the first question. Okay, so first question. So these are questions that I find from my group, and I usually keep everything anonymous. So I'll just read some of it, and I usually find the ones that I see that most people have, or the posts that have most reaction or most comments and most interest. So I'm going to answer a question and then comment on a few things. Anyway, so let's get started. We've tried methylphenidate and 5-FANs. Both have made my son's symptoms worse. What are some natural alternatives that have helped your child? And we have also used and still use magnesium, but saw little effects. Who have used Brilia? Okay, let me turn off the sound. Okay, so multiple things on this question. So first of all, I think one thing that we need to understand, and this is the whole reason why I started this blog, started this whole community, and writing this book is to help people understand. Because what I see is a lot of times when people try to find a natural alternative way to avoid medication to treat ADHD is that they don't understand the process. And I think as a society, we're just so brainwashed by pharmaceutical company that every symptoms have a pill for it. So then when it comes to like natural alternative medicine, I think what I've seen a lot of times is people thinking that, oh yeah, I have ADHD, so that's the diagnosis, and there has to be a pill. But the pill is more like, I think in their mind, or most of us thinking that pharmaceutical is a pill. So the alternative is maybe there's a natural pill that doesn't have the dangerous chemicals like an actual drug. But the thing is, natural alternative medicine or alternative medicine is not really like a natural parallel or equivalent to pharmaceutical. The way we look at it, and this is basically what I've practiced, is functional medicine or functional nutrition, and it's not symptom. Well, it's kind of symptom focused, but it's a little bit different. It's more like I look at the symptoms that you have, and then I try to figure out what is the underlying cause, what is causing the symptoms to come up. So, like in ADHD, the main symptoms of ADHD is hyperactivity for some kids. So, lack of focus, hyperactivity, impulsivity, and sometimes poor memory, brain fog. That's what adult call it. Usually in adult we call it brain fog, but it's the same as ADHD. And what's the other thing? Growing up, I always think that I'm absent-minded because my head is always in another world. But yeah, so basically anything that kind of makes you not focus on the things in front. But that's only the list of diagnosis doctor that helps doctor to give a diagnosis or label of ADHD. But then the thing is, we need to also look at what's going on in the person who is diagnosed with ADHD, because we all know, even though we all, or most of us diagnosed, not diagnosed, but people who are diagnosed with ADHD is often based on the symptoms. Um, the lack of focus, the poor memory, or maybe hyperactivity, which is different in adults. The hyperactivity appears differently in adults than in children. But along with those diagnoses for ADHD, people also often have other mental illnesses like anxiety, depression, and then sometimes like things that happens to them in the childhood. So that's kind of how I help my client with the ADHD. Is I don't just say, oh yeah, you have ADHD, take these supplements, do this, that. I look at the person as a whole, like, okay, you have ADHD. Let's see what other symptoms do you have, because the other symptoms is going to lead me towards the cause of your ADHD, so that way I can help you tailor more specific things. And like a lot of times, the other thing that you also have to realize that if you try something and it doesn't work, don't feel, well, I can see your frustration, but also look at it as a learning experience. Like in this person's case, they tried methylphenidate and 5-mans, and it actually makes the ADHD worse. That means that the cause of the child's ADHD have nothing to do with brain chemicals. So that probably means that this child does not have a chemical or brain chemical deficiency like the pharmaceutical company keeps telling us. Maybe for this child, the symptoms that we should be looking for is other thing more internal, could be like a food allergies, like a hidden food allergies, or maybe some kind of gut imbalance, or maybe some kind of chemicals that is in the environment causing that, like mercury toxicity or lead toxicity. Those might be other things to look into. So that how and and the other thing is the reason why I said, because this medication caused the symptom to be worse and brain chemical is not the cause, is because pretty much all ADHD medication, like methylphenidate, 5-mans, and any of those stimulant, its job is really to recycle the brain chemicals. That's really the job. So even though the pharmaceutical company is telling us that, oh yeah, when you have ADHD, anxiety, depression, is because your brain chemical are off balance or you don't make enough brain chemicals, and it's like a um, permanent lifelong condition. It is not true. And the medication, just understand that the medication itself is not even those brain chemicals. What the medication does, it just keep the medication or the brain chemicals keep recycling in your brain or in the synapses, so that way it doesn't get washed out. So ultimately, and that is really the reason why a lot of times the medication work initially, because initially you still have a lot of brain chemicals, but then if you don't change your diet, then it's not going to help. And this is the reason why you need to have your diet all dialed in. If we look at, say, the pharmaceutical company, drugs company, it's true. Your brain chemicals is low, right? So then the medication will help because the medication keeps the brain chemicals circulating. But the thing is, we need to look deeper and ask further question. Why is your brain chemicals low? Because there are many reasons why the brain chemicals is low. One is your body is not making enough, and then the next question is, why is your body not making enough? And that usually goes back to either genetics, like your brain may be genetically predisposed to not have enough the protein or the DNA to code certain type of protein, or maybe some part of the brain that is supposed to make the brain chemicals is a little bit slow or sluggish. Then again, it's like keep asking the question why to get to the root cause. And the way I look at it as a dietitian is that, okay, what exactly is brain chemicals? So brain chemicals is actually a protein. So if I look at a lot of the patients that I see, the younger ones, pretty much they eat carbs all day long. Breakfast, cereal, huge bowl of cereal. Lunch is a bunch of carbs again. Then dinner is a bunch of carbs. So if all day long you're loading your body with carbs, where's all the protein going? And when we're looking at young little kids, they're gaining weight, growing every day. So most of the protein is being used to put on new body tissues. Then is there really any extra for the brain to make new brain chemicals or even making new hormones that helps with your mood, your appetite, and your sleep schedule? So that's what I look at, is like looking at the whole full body function. So again, looking at brain chemicals is another protein molecules. So if your diet is full of carbs and low in protein, you're not going to have enough of the resources to build brain chemicals to help you calm down. And that's the reason why we need to ask more questions. And that's also a reason why it's so important that you have your diet all dialed in when you're trying to find the natural alternative way to treat ADHD. It is not a one pill approach. It is an all inclusive, comprehensive approach. You fix your nutrition, you correct nutrient deficiency, and try to find out if there's any hidden food allergies, sensitivity, or any kind of environmental influence from like toxic substance that is around your area. Okay, let's see, did I answer the whole question? Okay, that's the first part. So methylphenidate 5-meth doesn't work for everyone, especially if you do not have a lack of brain chemicals for or dopamine or norepinephrine or any of those. So what are some natural alternatives that have helped your child? So I would say some of the things that I mentioned already, like try to limit any kind of processed food. Um, the reason why there's a lot of chemicals in the processed food that actually interfere with hormones and brain chemicals, because even though food manufacturers say, oh yeah, those hormones are like nothing, they call it inert, like it does supposed to not do anything, but the fact that it is chemicals, and our whole human being body, everything that you see and touch in your body every day is all chemicals. We're a full bag of organic, we call it the chemicals that is in our body, we call it organic chemistry or organic chemicals. But the chemicals that you have, the food manufacturer put in our food, the pesticides that they put in our food and everything, all of those are different kind of chemicals, but they still interfere with our chemistry in our body. So don't be fooled by them. I wouldn't trust them if there's money involved. Um, yeah, so try to avoid processed food that have a lot of chemicals in it, and an elimination diet that eliminates a lot of the common food sensitivity. And I have many videos from previous that I talk about food allergy. That's like one of my favorite topics because a lot of people, even doctors, do not understand food allergy and sensitivity. That's kind of like my specialty. Um, and then so hidden food allergies, and then the other thing is very important is having the right supplements to correct nutrient deficiency. The way to look at ADHD brain, the ADHD brain, if you look at the ADHD brain as a starving brain, and actually not just the ADHD but any other kind of mental illnesses like anxiety, depression, all of those, a lot of mental illnesses actually is the result of a starvation to the brain. When the brain is starving in a low energy level, the default is just anxiety. Because when your brain is not getting enough energy, it puts your brain in a stress state, basically the um, fight or flight response. And in flight response, it is emergency. So that means that you're in a constant hyper vigilant state. Anxiety level is up because you're like, we're ready to run when you're ready. So you're putting the whole body in a state that when the first sight of danger comes, you're going to run away. So that's what happened when the brain is starving. But when you start feeding your brain with the right kind of food and correcting any nutrient deficiency, you'll notice that your brain is brighter. Even sleep is very important because when you sleep enough, you're also telling your body and your brain that, hey, everything is okay. We can have a good night's sleep. No animals come in to eat us or anything. Just ask yourself, the last time you slept a full 8 hours, when you wake up, what was the mood that you have? Because I struggle with this myself too with sleep. Not that I cannot go to sleep. I can go to sleep. It's just that I have so much things to do, try to keep up with the social media, posting all this information for you guys and planning all the things out. So I ended up a lot of times not getting enough sleep and I wake up grumpy. But on the weekends, like the day where I slept well, I woke up. Actually, this week wasn't a good week for me, but but usually on the weekend when I slept well, I wake up. It's like, oh my God, the world is amazing. I love this world. The rainbow is so bright. Everything suddenly looks perfect, and and that's something that we need to also always remember is you need to take care of yourself. And I know there's a lot of parents out there, like really as parent, as mom and dad, you guys really need to take care of yourself first because when you're well fed and you're well rested, your response to your child's needs a lot easier. Because you know when you're upset and your stress level is up to here at your eyebrows, whatever your kids do that is even good things they do, it feels annoying. But when your stress level is down and you're calm, your kids carrying the cup of milk and then they spilled it, you're like, oh, no worries, honey, let mommy clean it up, right? But when your stress level is up, your kids just touching mom, and then you just go all pissed off mode, right? So those are little things to realize that a lot of times our reaction is not really because of what's happening to us, is what's happening in your body. So when you take good care of your body, you actually have a lot more resources to help control your emotions and your focus and everything. So yeah, so I think I kind of mentioned that. And then they mentioned about the magnesium. So with magnesium, which is a supplement that a lot of people take, and I love magnesium. I recommend that every day to all my little kids patient and also adult patient. And the problem is that our food supply is actually most of us walking around with a low magnesium level because first of all, the food supply is the soil that our food are grow in is depleted. Second of all, a lot of us eat a lot of processed food. So processed food in the process of um, creating that processed food, a lot of like good stuff is taken out. So basically, you're eating just calories, and we call that empty calories. You're just eating calories with no nutritional value. So, to in regarding this question where this person said they tried magnesium and saw little effects, so there are multiple things that might be happening in here. One, it might be because they're not using the right dose. That's what something I see a lot of times when people try to use supplements. They're like, "Oh yeah, so sad to use this, so I try it." But then a lot of times they try such a tiny little amount. I call it the sprinkle effects. When you sprinkle something in it, you get a tiny sprinkle of results. So the thing is, if you're depleted in certain nutrients, the only way to treat that nutrient deficiency is to use a high dose supplement to correct the deficiency quickly. Because it's kind of like filling up a bucket. When you have a nutrient deficiency, your bucket is empty. So if you just try to fill that bucket up with drops, it's going to take you forever. So you cannot do that. When you have a deficiency, you need to fill up that bucket with a hose, like literally. But that's why you need to have a supplement that is high dose enough to correct that deficiency right away, and you can see the results right away, or might not be immediately the next day, but it at least will take you a few days or a few weeks to correct versus take you a few years that might not even actually correct it at all. um, Multivitamins are great. A lot of times parents will ask me, can I just give a multivitamin? The problem with a multivitamin is you're getting a tiny pills like that, and you have 20 different vitamins and minerals in it. So just ask yourself, if you need to try to stuff 20 something vitamins and minerals in these tiny pills, how much do you think of each supplements or each vitamins do you think can fit in there? So a multivitamin is good for someone who already is a good nutritional status, just really for maintenance. Multivitamins purpose is really just to fill up the tiny gaps between what you eat and what you still need. That tiny gaps, not the big gaps of deficiency. So deficiency, you definitely need an individual supplements like that. Like a lot of my picky eaters, they're actually low in zinc. So a lot of times I put them on a zinc lozenges, and the zinc is super safe for even the zinc lozenges for young children because we use way higher dose, much higher dose in the hospital for patient who needs to close a open stage 3, stage 4 wound. Like the dose is crazy high, but generally, if you do like the zinc supplements from a zinc lozenges, the dose seems high, but it is still very safe. Okay, so yeah, so with magnesium, so you're probably wondering, so what should be the dose in? So for younger children, I'll say under 5 years old, I would start at minimum 200 milligrams of magnesium a day. And for adults, I always start with 400 milligrams. And specifically for adults, especially if you have migraine headaches all the time, and if you're women, you always have menstrual cramps, or what with men or adult in general, you always have muscle achiness, muscle cramps, and things like that. Those are all signs of magnesium deficiency because magnesium is involved in over 300 different chemical reactions in the body. One very important job that the magnesium does is to relax the muscle. So any movement requires magnesium and calcium to help the muscle contract and relax. That's how you create movement. So when when people, that's why I love magnesium, especially in my adult patient, because almost all of my adult patient who comes to see me for weight loss, they all have anxiety and they all have the same problem falling asleep at night because they cannot calm the brain down. And the reason why is because all day long they're walking around with tight muscles, like because of the anxiety, they're just like in that panic mode. So when your muscle is so tight and anxious, it feeds back to the brain that hey, something is wrong, you need to stay alert. So then when your muscle cannot relax, it causes the brain to like keep thinking of all the bad things that could potentially happen. And your brain is not trying to do that to annoy you. The brain is doing that to prepare you just in case something happened. That's why when we're anxious, we often focus on all these negative things that could happen, which 90% of the time, all the negative things that you tell yourself never happens, right? So, but the magnesium help with sleep by relaxing all the muscle, relaxing your body. So your relaxed muscle feeds back to the brain that, hey, everything is good. You can relax and take a night off, and then your brain can go to sleep. That's how magnesium works for relaxation. Because a lot of people have the misperception that magnesium makes you sleepy because they have tried magnesium and it helps them with sleep. But no, magnesium is not a sleep supplement. Magnesium is one of the job that magnesium does is just relax your body so you can relax your brain and you fall asleep. So I actually, even for myself, because my job is really stressful, so I take super high dose magnesium, and I don't recommend for anyone. I take about 800 milligrams of magnesium a day. So 400 milligrams in the morning, 400 milligrams at night. But like I said, for most adults, start with 400 milligrams. And for my female patients who tends to have migraine headaches and menstrual cramps around the period, or suddenly they have more sugar and food cravings before the period or during the period, I usually have them double the magnesium dose a week before the period and during the period. And that usually helps to take care of the migraine headaches, the menstrual cramps, and also the food cravings. And the other thing also, just for fun, if is that if you tend to crave things like nuts and seeds and chocolate, those are signs that you're low in magnesium because chocolate, not any chocolate, the dark chocolate, and nuts and seeds, those are excellent sources of magnesium. So, like nuts and seeds are pretty healthy, but I don't want you to just munch on chocolate all day long. So, you can take a magnesium supplement. Again, 400 milligrams for adults and 200 milligrams for 5-year-old and under. Okay, okay, the next question is about Brillia. And in my Facebook group, I kind of put that question as a no talk topic. And the reason why I don't want people to promote that product, because I've looked it up and a lot of times it doesn't work. It is a super expensive supplement that talks about this very tiny molecules in the body, which I've never even heard of. Like I went to college and get a degree in nutrition. I studied biochemistry and everything, but never heard of this particular molecules. And I don't believe in buying an expensive supplements hoping that it works for ADHD because from my experience, from my clinical experience, from my client and my patient, I've seen huge improvement changing the diet, supplementing and correcting the nutrient deficiency and changing the activities level and also changing the parenting style a little bit. Huge improvement without wasting your money in those junk and wasting time. Okay, yep, that's the question. And then next question. Okay, this is a pretty long one. Let me see if I can summarize that. Okay, so I think I'll just summarize this quickly. So basically, this person have two kids who have ADHD and some other issue. So they went to a naturopathic or functional doctor, pediatrician previously, and then they changed the whole family's diet and things, and it basically cured one of her daughter, the oldest daughter. So yeah, that's what it says is by correcting the gut, basically cured the oldest daughter ADHD symptoms. But the younger daughter still having some issue with like big emotions and reaction and sometimes defiant. And then she also mentioned something about humming, tapping, um, and things like that. So her question basically is why does it work for one child and not the other? So this all goes back to the fact that everybody is different. And if you read my book or follow me in my blog, There are at least 5 to 6, and I focus on all the biochemical stuff. I didn't really talk about the psychology and trauma and all of those things. But what I focus on is the 6 biggest thing that could underline causes of ADHD, which is like the brain chemical structure is different, the ADHD gut, which is basically a leaky gut, and then hidden food sensitivities and allergies, nutrients deficiency, environmental um, environmental toxins, and then number 6 is like some kind of rare genetic mutation, like a methyl tetrahydro MTHFR. Yeah, something like that. So there are different kind of underlying cause. So for this person, the older child probably have a gut problem that is causing the ADHD symptoms. And one of the things that I think most people are not aware of, and even doctors are not familiar of, and many doctors still think that it doesn't make sense, it's all bullshit. And I actually love my new doctor right now because she understands that. Is that our brain and our gut is connected. It's kind of like the root of the tree. So if you think of the tree, it's like the top part where you have all the leaves and then the trunk and then all the roots. So all the food that we eat goes through the tree root goes through the trunk into the brain, and then we'll have beautiful flowers and leaves and stuff like that. That's the health of our brain. So, and the other thing is that our gut, our intestine, the bacteria in our intestine actually makes a lot of the brain chemicals that helps calms the brain. That's why a lot of times people often talk about gut feeling, or when something upsets you, you feel it in your gut. Like when someone tell you some upsetting news, you feel your gut so tensed up. And also like people who have anxiety or have a lot of stress in their life tends to have irritable bowel syndrome. So just know that the word irritable bowel is like your body is reacting to something and feeling very irritable. So that's why we call it irritable bowel syndrome. It's because you're feeling irritable, so your gut feel irritable, and when your gut is irritable, it just want to get, I don't know what it wants, but some people have diarrhea, some people have constipation, and I think that's how like a kind of a similar analogy to how people deal with life. Because some people, when they deal with life situation, they deal with it differently. Like um, this kind of goes more into the eating psychology and all these things. Like some people have emotional eating or binge eating. And the reason why is with this certain people, when they deal with life stressors, they eat a lot of food to numb the feeling. And there's some people that the way they deal with life is to not eat because it's overwhelming. Like I can speak for myself on that. Like when I get upset or I feel overwhelmed, my body shut down. I don't eat. Like I'm a lot better now. Like um, when I was like a teenager, like I get so overwhelmed, and I think part of it is my upbringing too. But I've worked through all of that like over years. But like if you know me as a teenager, you might actually think that I actually have an eating disorder. But then now I think about it, I have all the symptoms of eating disorder. But the thing is, like now I think back, I didn't really have an eating disorder to the fact that I want to be a certain way. I stopped eating because I just feel so overwhelmed in life. Like I feel out of control. So food becomes my control, and because of that overwhelmed feeling, I just can't put any more food in. So I just block the whole food away from me. So but again, that's how I deal with life is with food. But like I said, I deal with all that anymore. I love food now. Like you cannot starve me for more than a day. But for some people who tends to have emotional eating, that's what exactly what it is when they have an upset feeling, they eat food, they eat happy food that makes them feel happy. So in that case, the food is actually a medication or a drug to change your upsetting feeling to happy feeling. So knowing that That means that anytime you're, people often say, oh yeah, I'm addicted to food. You're not addicted to the food. It has nothing to do with the food. You're addicted to the feelings that the food gives you. That's a huge difference. Once you understand that your addiction to the food has nothing to do with food, but has everything to do with the feeling that the food gives you, that gives you a better understanding. And then you can correct that and start asking deeper questions. Why do I need to feel that way? Why do I need to eat that food to feel that way? What feeling am I trying to avoid? And yeah, I'm kind of digging deeper into another end. But oh, way far off. Okay, so back to this other child who sees some improvement, but not as significant or not really resolved like the older sister. So based on what I've read so far, like without medical history, without diet history, without family history, this is what I think. So this child probably have other underlying causes. So if the family already did enough um, food correction or improving the eating to correct um, the gut function. Then the other thing I look at will be food sensitivities, environmental um, environmental toxins, and also with young little kids, I always want to look at the life around them, like how's things going at school? Are they being bullied? Are there is the teacher saying things? Because the thing is, sometimes we often think that for something to be traumatic or being bullied has to be something big, something physical, something like huge. But children at that very young age, I think in this case is an 8 year old, they take things very differently. Like when adults say something, we say something and we didn't even mean it, but when the child hear, they mean something different. Like I was actually having a discussion with my friend the other day, talking about um, how he realized how little time he have spent with his children when they were growing up, and then I would start talking about, yeah, usually children take those things differently. As adults, especially when you're a single parent, you're like, oh my god, I need to work two different jobs, try and make enough money to support my family so they can have a roof over their head, have food on the table, or go to a good school, right? So as parents, that's what we focus, is that we need to provide for our children. But then but you assume that your 8 year old is going to understand that, oh, mommy, daddy is not here because we're working. But in your child's brain, their thinking is not thinking that, oh, yeah, mommy and daddy needs to go work and make money. They might be thinking that, oh, something must be wrong with me. How come mommy and daddy love to go to this place called work more than staying home with me? What did I do wrong? Like, did I say something? Am I not pretty enough? Am I not smart enough? So daddy and mommy always go to this other place than to be with me. Kids don't understand all of those things. 8 years old don't understand that parents go to work. Like maybe when they're older, but you need to talk to them because kids interpret things differently than us. And even like divorce, like as adult, we're like, oh, we're getting divorced. We think that kids traumatized a little bit, but it's all okay. But you again, parents divorce or one parent leaving is a traumatic experience for children, like even older teenagers as well, because again, they're going to question themselves. Am I good enough? Why am I not good enough for my parent to stay? Why did my parent leave me? They don't understand that is the parents cannot get along anymore, but they think that one parent leave them because of them, or or sometimes they even think that my parents get a divorce because of me. So and you need to talk to your children, and sometimes those kind of experience in life can cause them to think differently. And when they're in this whole mood that I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm the cause of mommy's daddy's always fighting, um, yeah, then that of course take the focus away from stuff. And sometimes um, some of the things that people call steaming, like kids like to rock, autistic kids like to rock back and forth, or kids with repetitive movement. we often look at those symptoms as something is wrong with my child, but it's actually the body's way of self-calming. So some of these very repetitive movement, like tick and like humming or like like rocking, these are a lot of times people call it self-steaming, but it's actually self-calming mechanism that your body adopts. Because any kind of rhythmic movement is very relaxing, and that's the reason why a lot of times music is relaxing because music has a rhythm. Um, let's see, and what else? The emotional outbursts and explosive reaction, those tends to comes from the gut. So that means that there probably needs more work to work on the gut. And a diet helps, but probably a high dose probiotic will also help as well. And the other thing is also looking into if your child have a history of like ear infection and frequently put on antibiotics, or what's the other medication that messed up the gut is acid suppressant. That medication, oh my God, is given out like free candy. They should just put it in lollipops in all clinic. Like, um, yeah, stomach acid suppressant is actually not good for the body and for the gut because two things happening. When you suppress your stomach acid, protein is not being digested properly. So you can end up with a lot of food intolerances, allergies, and malabsorption. And then when you're not absorbing all your protein, again, it's going to affect brain chemicals production. Second of all, when you suppress the stomach acid, because one of the job of the stomach acid is not there for fun. It is there to kill the bacteria that is in the food that you might have ingested accidentally. Because even though we try to cook our food, clean everything perfectly, there is still some bacteria in the food that we eat, in our hands, in our utensils, everything. So the stomach acid is there to kill the bacteria that is still lingering in our food. So when you suppress your stomach acid, that defense mechanism is taken away. So that means that a lot of the bacteria that potentially would have been killed is entering into your gut. And when they're in the gut and they start setting up camp and you start feeding them all the delicious food, like all the junk food, those bad bacteria is going to start growing. And one of the more dangerous bacteria that tends to be the results of suppressed stomach acid is the Clostridium difficile, which is a very dangerous bacteria that can cause like huge infection and with major diarrhea and a lot of bad things. So try to avoid that if possible. If your child have reflux or anything before starting a stomach acid medication, you start changing the diet because this is what I see a lot of times, and to me it's just so stupid. Like when you see all these commercials on TV where they advertise stomach acid medication, they're like they always talk about Mexican food, and I don't understand why, or some kind of greasy food. It's always like, oh, you eat some greasy food like Mexican food or burgers or fries, and then you have stomach acid, or your stomach doesn't feel good, and then commercials say, oh, you should take this stomach acid medication to suppress the stomach acid. But like it makes sense if you don't understand anything, right? So I was like, oh my God, it's not how it works. If you eat some food and you don't feel good, is your body telling you that that food is upsetting you? Nothing wrong with your human body. It has all to do with the wrong food. You're eating food that your body cannot digest. That's why your stomach is trying to make extra stomach acid to break down this crap that you just put into your body. That's the reason why. So putting a medication to suppress the stomach acid doesn't work. What works is stop eating that food, and that will take care of the problem. Your body is really smart. If we just have more trust in our body and listen to it, like, and I see that totally different perspective in adult and children. In children, when I see them come in, parents like, yeah, every time my child eat this, it caused them to have this crazy behavior or the stomach hurts or they have diarrhea. then the parents will actually stop giving the child that food, and then they're like, yeah, when I stop giving them that food, all the symptoms disappear. Then later, I'll see an adult for something similar. The adult will be like, oh yeah, every time I eat this food, it hurts my stomach. Especially for women, our women for women, our digestion is actually weaker than men. And like a lot of times, red meat is one of those things that is really difficult to digest. So we women tend to have more reaction with eating red meat. So I have patients who will say, oh yeah, every time I eat red meat, it's like the worst. It tears up my stomach. But then they'll continue to eat it because their spouse eating red meat, but they don't connect the two together where we're thinking that, oh yeah, red meat is causing my stomach pain, I should stop eating it. So you see how the two different thing is. So in adults, it's almost like in adults we don't want to take care of ourselves. It's like, oh yeah, I eat this, it hurts, cause bloating, cause diarrhea, I'll still keep eating it. They don't think of it like, oh yeah, the food is not good for me, I'll stop eating it. So rather than thinking of stopping the food that's hurting, in adult they just go for medication, like, oh, drinking milk hurts me, maybe I'll take a lactase pill. Or if eating like greasy food cause my stomach cause me to have like stomach acid or cause my stomach to hurt, then I'll take a stomach acid suppressant to help with that. But it just doesn't work. It just make it worse. And actually recently I think is it Santac or which one, the sanitidine, I forgot the name suddenly. Never mind. But one of the acid suppressant medication, they actually show that it causes cancer, so I think it's off the market. But the other one's still on. But anyway, um, my thing is that there are better ways to treat some of these symptoms, and medication doesn't have to be the first thing to go to. There are certain situations where medication is wonderful, like when you're vomiting nonstop, which happens to me multiple times, not on intention, but yeah, Zofran is wonderful in those cases. Um, okay, let's answer the next question. Okay, I'll answer one last question because it's almost 11 o'clock. Wow, I talk way too much. Okay, last question. So, what books on ADHD have been helpful to you? Okay, I will have to say it's my own book. So, right here, this is my book, Eat to Focus. This is actually the old version, the new version, like I showed you earlier. So, I will have to say my book is the best because I've read other books on ADHD, helping with that, but mine is comprehensive. It attacks the problem from different angle. I don't just focus on what supplements. I focus on the underlying cause and I attack each underlying cause altogether. And then in the book, I also talk about activities because once you corrected all the underlying chemical or biochemical imbalances, gut imbalances, and boost the brain function, then the next thing is you have to realign all the brain connections because the focus has a path. Because if your child or you have been thinking in a tangential, okay, my words are a little bit off today. I hope I'm saying the right word. Like if your focus is often not there, you don't have that focus path. So you need to have certain activities, brain activities, and the ones that I really prefer and really think is really helpful is mindful thinking. And I know a lot of you probably laughing. Oh my God, I can't even sit for more than 5 minutes. The thing is, if you keep telling yourself that your child cannot sit for 5 minutes or you cannot focus for 5 minutes, and that is going to become your story for the rest of your life. The focus, the focus muscle is just like any other muscle. The brain, the thinking process is just like any muscle in your body. If you want to have six packs, you don't go to the gym one day, work out for 2 hours, and expect a six pack to show up after that 2 hours. It's a constant process. So when you do this focus practice, Even initially, you can only do 1 minute of sitting quietly. 1 minute is better than 0 minutes. You start with 1 minute, then maybe next week you work up to 5 minutes. But it is a muscle that you need to do consistently at least 5, 6 times a week. Doesn't have to be perfect. Like, practice doesn't make you perfect. Practice makes you become successful. You just need to keep going and build that focus muscle. And that's what the mindfulness meditation helps with. And like studies now shows that the brain is capable of changing and growing until the day we die. Like many years ago, we're told that our brain stopped growing and we're stuck with whatever we have. But now we know that is not the case. Even if you're 40, 50, 60, 70s, your brain is still growing and you can still change brain functions, brain pathways. This is a great time. And even though my book is more focused on children, but the principle applies to adult as well. When you feed your brain the right kind of food, feed it and correct all the nutrient deficiency, give the brain what it needs, and work out the way how you work out in the gym, you'll see the results. But the brain pathway is a habit that you build. Even like negative thoughts, a lot of people nowadays is like suffering from negative thoughts in the brain is because all their life they taught themselves to listen to negative things. They watch the news every day. Just remember, the news is not here to make you feel good about this world. The news is here to make money. The sadder the news, the more dramatic the news is, it catch people's attention. If the news every day come talk about, oh, so and so rescued the cat from the tree, or someone jumped into the ocean and rescued this person. Like if the news talks about that every day, they're not going to sell the news or make any money. But if they talk about, oh, the market is crashing and inflation is through the roof, like all time high, and like gas is so many dollars per gallon. Just remember the water is still more expensive than gas. So think about that. So really, it's like how you program your brain and how you protect your brain. Because we often think about feeding our body, but we also need to think about what we're feeding our brain. If every day we're feeding our brain with thoughts that you're not good enough, you don't have this car, you don't have this degree, you don't have this, you don't have this, therefore you're a bad person, you're a sucky person, you're a failure, you're a piece of crap, you're good for nothing, you're a waste of space. If you keep telling yourself those kind of things, which we know is not true, then you create the the brain pathways to focus on the negative things. And same with focus. If you're always like not focused, like doing 5 different things, you need to catch yourself. The only way to correct those is to catch yourself in the moment. Like sometimes I catch myself, like I'm doing something, and I want to go to the kitchen and get something. Then in the middle of walking to the kitchen, I think of something else I want to do. That I was like, wait, stay focused. So I was like, okay, go to the kitchen, do this, and then you go do this. So I have to like consciously um, remind myself that focus on this, and do this. So you just have to keep practicing. It is a practice. And it seems like really hard right now because you're so used to that old pattern of thinking. But when you feed your brain with the proper food, correct all those nutrient deficiency, and get rid of all the food triggers and correct your gut health, when your whole body, your physical body feels good, this part, the thinking process is going to be a lot easier, and you can control your feelings better because then your thinking will not be coming from an empty state. It'll come from a full nourished state of thinking, and things will be so much better, and your life will be so much better because you finally will be able to focus on the good things. Because when your body is well nourished and well nurtured, you see things a lot brighter in a different sense. So there it is for today, and thank you so much for everyone who showed up today All of these will be available and actually will be on YouTube as well. And I'll put down some link below on the some of the topics that I talk about. And again, thank you so much, everyone who bought my book. And again, we because of you guys, my book have made international bestseller status. Thank you so much, all. And again, the paperback, if you want to get the paperback, it is now available on Amazon. So thank you, thank you. I love you all. Bye. See you next week.